Hi guys, we're going to finish talking about modifiers today and how to diagram our modifiers. So as a quick little refresher, the last thing we talked about were three modifiers: articles such as a, an, and the; adjectives, which are modifiers that work with nouns, usually the subject side of our diagram; and adverbs, which modify usually the verb side of our diagram. So the 2 pages we completed, page 8, this is a quick little example, quick little reminder. Jack's clever invention succeeded. Invention was our subject, succeeded was our predicate. Jack's clever both modify invention, so they would go on this side of the diagram. Nothing new there. Same thing with page 9. We're flipping to the verb side, talking about adverbs. In the example, lightning flashed, then suddenly lightning flashed. Lightning is our subject, flashed is our verb. Then and suddenly both give me more information about when that flash occurred, so they are technically adverbs. They would go on that side of the equation, okay? So today we're moving on. We're going to talk about how modifiers get a little bit more complicated. I'm going to walk you through this example. I'm going to try to explain it the best I can, but I think you're really going to understand it once you start doing this, okay? So in the example, loud thunder rumbled threateningly. Thunder is our subject, rumbled is our verb. This is a pretty simple sentence that we've diagrammed before. Loud modifies thunder, so it would be labeled as an adjective. It would go under thunder. Threateningly modifies rumble. You see the ly on the end, that's our little clue. That would be our adverb. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. What we're going to talk about now is when we have modifiers modifying our adjectives and our adverbs. The trick is, if something is modifying another modifier, it turns into an adverb. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So we have the root sentence, loud thunder rumbled threateningly. We're going to add some modifiers in there. Extremely loud thunder rumbled rather threateningly. So loud still modifies thunder, threateningly still modifies rumble. However, we have extremely loud. And if you guys are drawing your arrows like I showed you, you would notice that extremely does not modify thunder. Extremely thunder doesn't make any sense. Extremely loud, it's modifying that adjective loud. So it becomes an adverb. Again, you see it has that ly on the end. So to show that in our diagram, the whole reason why we diagram sentences is to see how the different parts fit together. So you see here, extremely, the line for extremely comes off the line for loud. That tells me that extremely modifies loud. It does not modify thunder. So in my sentence, I would label extremely as an adverb. Same thing for the other side. Rather doesn't modify rumbled, it modifies threateningly. So that's why it comes off of this line here. So threateningly is already an adverb, rather is also an adverb. And there's an explanation over here for you guys to see. So let's try number 1 together. I'm going to do 2 of these. You're going to do the other 2, and then we'll talk about it when we're back in class. So number 1, very pesky weeds grow everywhere. I know my subject is weeds. I know my verb is grow, so I can do that part of my chart pretty easily. Weeds grow. Pesky modifies weeds. Weeds is a subject, therefore a noun. Pesky would be an adjective. Very modifies pesky. Pesky is already a modifier, so I know very would be an adverb. It would act as an adverb. So to diagram that, pesky would come right off of weeds. Very would come off of pesky. Same thing with grow. Where do they grow? They grow everywhere. So grow would go on my adverb line there. Okay? Let's look at number 4, where things are a little different. Habitually shy, the child played alone. Child is my subject. It's what the sentence is about. Played is my verb. So I can go ahead and do the basic child played. Where did the child, or how did the child play? They played alone. Alone gives me more information about that, so it is my adverb. The is an article. It goes with child. Shy tells me more about the child, so it's an adjective. Habitually does not tell me more about the child, it tells me more about how shy they were. So since it modifies an adjective, it becomes an adverb, and it comes off of shy. Okay? Remember, you should be labeling each part of your sentence before you diagram it, just like I'm doing here. So I want you to complete 2 and 3. You can pause the video, complete 2 and 3. Now, let's talk about what happens when we have modifiers working with compound subjects and compound predicates. So you'll remember from the last section that we did that when we have a helping verb, we have to put the helping verb out here because it affects both of these verbs. It's kind of like a math equation. Everything on this side affects everything on this side. Same thing with modifiers. If the modifier is modifying both verbs, it has to come out before them to show me on my diagram that these modify both the verbs. The difference is when you have a sentence like this. Inside, Vanna and Jason excitedly talked and laughed. I'm sorry, I read the wrong one. Vanna and Jason shrieked excitedly and ran inside. That's the one I want to use for my example. Sorry. Vanna and Jason shrieked excitedly and ran inside. This has 2 verbs, shrieked and ran. It also has 2 modifiers. But you'll notice excitedly only tells me more about shrieked, so that's why it's only under shrieked. Inside only tells me more about where they ran, so it only goes under ran. So you have to ask yourself, does it apply to one or both of these? Let's do an exercise, and hopefully it'll make more sense. We rose instantly and cheered loudly. I see a compound predicate there. I have a singular subject, we rose is my verb, cheered is my other verb, and is my conjunction. Remember, whenever you have a compound subject or a compound verb, you know to look for a conjunction. Instantly only tells me more about how they rose. Loudly only tells me more about where they cheered. So these are adverbs that go separately. So my diagram would look like this. We rose and cheered, rose instantly, cheered loudly. Let's look at an example kind of like the one up here where I started talking about. Let's do number 3. Later the band will meet and practice here. I have a singular subject, which is band. I have a compound predicate, which is meet and practice. And because you guys know your helping verbs, you know that will is a helping verb. So right off the bat, I can go ahead and show on my diagram that part of the sentence. And that's a really poorly drawn diagram. Band will meet and practice. Sorry for this being so sloppy. Now, we have to ask ourselves, I forgot my conjunction. Here tells me more about where they're going to practice. It also tells me more about where they're going to meet. And I can't even draw an arrow. So here affects both my verbs. Let's see what later does. Later also tells me where they're going to meet, or when they're going to meet, and when they're going to practice. So it affects both my verbs. Since it affects both of my verbs, I have to put it under here. I put it under my helping verb because it shows me that it affects both of my verbs. Okay, so these are both adverbs. The is an article that works with band. So sorry that's so sloppy, but I want you to go ahead and try 2 and 4. So pause the video, try 2 and 4. Now, finally, last page of the packet, we're going to talk about modifiers where you have two modifiers that modify the same thing. And they're going to always, pretty much always, be joined by a conjunction. So you know conjunctions are always drawn using that dotted line. Same thing here. So a clear but cold day dawned. Day is my subject, dawn is my verb. A is my article, clear and cold are my two adjectives. They are held together by this conjunction, but. So normally when you see a conjunction, it's usually on a compound subject or compound verb, but we understand that but is joining these two modifiers, these two adjectives. So it connects them. Remember, another reason why I teach sentence diagramming is so you can visualize how it works, and that's why it's important. Okay, so but joins these two. Same thing for down here, an example on the adverb side. Yesterday, winds blew strongly and unceasingly. Winds is my subject, blew is my verb. Strongly and unceasingly both modify how they blew and holds them together. Let's look at an example. One old and leaky boat sank. Boat is my subject, sank is my verb. Old and leaky are two modifiers that modify boat, so they're two adjectives. What holds them together? My conjunction and. So old, leaky, and. One tells me more about boat, so it's also an adjective. Goes out front there. Okay? Let's see. Let's do another one. Let me see which other one I want to do with you. Let's do number 4. The batter, powerful and confident, swung. Batter is my subject, so like baseball, batter. Swung is my verb. Batter, swung. Powerful and confident modify the batter. So they go under here, powerful, confident, and are joined by that conjunction and. Thus an article that modifies batter. So I want you guys to try 2 and 3 in this section, and we will go over all the ones that I left for you to do independently next time we're back. You will also have a quiz on this. So remember, the best way to study for this quiz is to rewatch this video, do the practice problems, and also, if you're confused about something, read the upper part here. I don't teach with this, but it's a good explanation if you need to hear it a different way or you need a little refresher. So you should watch this video, you should do the practice problems and have these ready for the next time I see you in school, hopefully next week. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, let me know.